What is that shirt?
Stronger than hate.
Yeah. The Steelers called. They want their logo back. What are you doing with that Joe Namath? That thing needs to be in a frame.
It says it is in a frame.
Mike, you can't keep something in a garage. It will go bad.
Hold on a second. I'm starting. Yeah. I was you earlier, but you went for your break. Yeah.
I didn't want to bother you.
No, you're good.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah. Wex, it's in that frame right there is probably a stronger frame than any like new.
No, it's not.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Secondly, you can't keep something of quality in a garage.
Listen, Wex, you know how old that picture is? That picture is 1975.
When did you get it? Where did it get signed?
One of my 6 dads got it signed for me.
Oh, nice.
That was a long time ago.
Mm.
Joe Namath, baby.
Yeah.
He's part of the all-decade team in terms of criticizing his Jets. He's going to criticize them again this year.
So, Mike, in between the 2 tennis rackets on the wall, is that a tire pump? What is the situation there?
That's part of sports, man.
What is it?
It's a pump.
Oh.
I mean, we got a hoop out here. Like, I mean, if I need to pump up my ball, I got to have a pump, baby.
Do your neighbors complain?
Complain about what? My neighbors love me. They want to be guests in the sports deli.
Why does Tom Rose have such a prominent role on your desk?
Nobody knows that's Tom Rose. That's got to be what, 1998.
Gordon wants his link.
I sent the link.
You sent it.
I sent it to the you guys.
I know.
What kind of presentation do you have for your grad work?
It's tomorrow.
Can I get a banner on the wall? You have a perfect wall. You should take that map down, whatever that stupid map is that the light is reflecting off of. You literally have the perfect background. Wendell's is ratchet, but that wall that you have right there.
I'll get something sometime.
You don't have a banner. You don't have You don't have one thing in that house.
No.
What? Oh, come on, Gordon. What a tool. I specifically was asked by Jonathan Wexler to create a separate thread for the sole purpose of meetings. And I do it, and Gordon, Mr. Organized, Lex, what is that map on the wall? You talk about a terrible picture. I don't know how it looks in that room, but
I don't care.
you have leading lines going on, as Shirley Paroka would have said to us. You have the frame edge going through your head. It looks like you have a line going through your head. What about Jack Kaufman?
Yeah.
Are you going to get some sort of relevant virtual background, either ESPN with him and what? With him and
Yeah.
Jay Billis. There's a great one that usually comes up first with him and Jay. There it is. There's a background. Cadillac in the house.
Why can't I hear that through the headphones?
Gordon, you know there's a trick if you have a green background. I saw it on.
Why am I not getting this in the ears? Why am I not? I'm not going to open my sound preferences. This is very annoying.
Don't say that. Don't say why am I not getting it in the ear?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Do you like the additions to my sport? Can you tell what additions there are? There's a lot of them today. What about Mark the Bird
Is there a moldy
Fidrich?
sandwich under that desk?
The Wonder Woman cup.
I just want to say that at the end of the season, we're going to have an auction of all of that stuff that Hootner's amassed in his garage. It's going to be a garage sale, a sports deli garage sale.
This is like an old hole in the wall.
I cannot get I cannot get the earphones to get the sound.
Well,
Jesus.
if you can't get it, then I don't know what to tell you, my Jewish brother.
Select device for sound output. Okay, there. I've selected it. Now what?
See, John, how he did his background? Now, you can't do that, but you can certainly get a banner. There we go. So anyways, there's a trick. If you have this green thing that they sell, it's like the thing that opens up like for your windshield in your car when it's hot out. You put it behind you, and then you click the link in the options that says you have a green room or a green background, and then you can select the picture. And you know how you go in and out when you're doing a virtual background, like it looks like your ear disappears, your face disappears. So it prevents that from happening. It's very interesting. I don't know if you knew that, Gordon. Gordon, what are those things? What is hick?
It's the hickory from Hoosiers.
Is that Hoosiers?
God. Oh,
Wow.
horrible. That's
Put
horrible.
that needs to be in front, Gordon. You can't switch it and take a picture. That should be in the forefront.
I don't need this.
I guess.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, he's not.
You're breaking up, Mike. Mike, you're frozen.
Mike, close the garage door.
You guys hear me?
Nice, John. Oh.
What did I miss? Because I switched from one Wi-Fi to the pod Wi-Fi.
You freeze up. You've been freezing up a lot, so we're telling you to close the garage door and tell your neighbor not to mow the lawn.
I switched from Mrs.
You know what? The neighbors are probably using some electronic vaping device.
Total.
Oh my
John,
God.
is this for your super conference question? What is that background for? Why don't you get him and Billis?
Oh, you talking to me?
No, Wex.
Well, he doesn't know you're talking to him.
He
Well,
does.
What's wrong with my background? I like my background. I got the.
Why don't you get Billis and because one of the this or that questions I'm gonna ask him about Jay Williams and Jay Billis. You should get. Oh yeah, let's do this.
Is he?
So I'm gonna do the intro, and then my first question has to do. It's sort of a funny question about him and his daughter because I had a
Is
private.
this better sound? Is this microphone better sound than previously?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Did you not hear me talking just now?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I can't hear it in here. I'm hearing it through my speaker, and
Okay.
I can't get the sound to come into the earphones.
Real quick before he comes on. So I'm going to just do a quick intro. It might be 30 seconds at the most. It's funny because I talked to his daughter. And I'm going to wish him Lashana Tova. And then.
Oh, you got to make it. You got to play the Jew card?
Yeah, I got to play Jew card just for a second.
Oh, there we go. Oh, it's in Zoom. I have to do it. Okay, cool.
And then I'm going to ask him sort of a funny question.
What if he's not religious?
It's fine.
What if he's a Jew for Jesus? Have you thought about that?
All very good questions.
Post-production.
Then all of a
So
sudden.
anyways, I'm going to ask him a funny question
Post-production.
about a beer. And then
This will be our last show, John. This will be our last show.
Every show could be our last show. We're like the guy at the end of the bench. We're on a 10-day contract.
Gordon.
What?
Okay, so after I ask him the beer question, okay, I have 2 questions after that. So as long as it flows properly and he doesn't go in a different direction, after I ask him
Let's
start of
let's
college
everybody
basketball, then you guys can go.
everybody open your chat. Open your chat window in Zoom, and then we
Yeah.
can at least have some integration. Like if you have a question, then you can say, "Hey, I want to jump in," and then the other person will stop after their question's answered and won't follow up.
How do you do 2 people at once? You can't, I guess. You can only do one or the other.
It's everyone. The drop down at the bottom.
No, you don't want everyone because then Seth is in it. You can't do everyone.
Oh, interesting.
That's why you sent me private message yesterday when I was talking to Essence because I asked her Kobe, whatever.
She didn't play.
Oh.
She was a DNP yesterday.
John pulling on his experience as a sports information director at what was that school in South Carolina you were at?
Newberry.
Thank you. How was that experience? Let's have John on the show.
Newberry.
John, any closure
Yes.
needed for the Newberry experience?
No.
Who is that tennis picture off to the right? What is that? There's a trophy of somebody running, and it looks like there's a beer cozy, and then there's some gay ass basketball beneath the photo. I can't figure out what that is. It looks like it's, I don't know what that
Did you
is.
say the CD right here?
Where?
The DVD below the New York Yankees hat, below the basketball?
Oh, I see the DVD. What is that? Is that
Goucher
Lou- is that
versus
Lou Holtz?
Lycoming.
Really? Wow. Wex, did you play in that game?
No.
No,
Wait,
that
Logan.
was the playoff game. Or that was
Lycoming?
We didn't play
Play
Lycoming.
Lycoming.
Lebanon Valley there, Mike. Way to know your
no, not
opponent.
that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. The next year, there's another year we played Lycoming. Didn't we play Lycoming in
Alvernia. You lost to
Oh,
Alvernia.
I left.
Oh,
I
we
should have
played.
stayed.
I thought we played Lycoming in one of them.
I should have stayed.
There you go, John. That's better. Do you have a J, and a Seth picture ready to go?
No.
Have you guys ever noticed that there are no pictures of anybody with Leonard?
Except Lisa. And
Are those on the- have
they're
those
probably
made it to the-
his.
Have those made it to the internet yet?
God, I hope not.
I can't wait to see that
I'm
site.
surprised he hasn't reached out to anybody like in his current position.
Managers of Division III. The photo spread.
You notice I put the Kipling sign lower. so
Oh, you're
that
breaking up. You're
way
breaking up.
it's
You're
just-
breaking up.
it's there, but it's
We got Seth yet? It's 2:02 here.
nope.
Does
I
he know
sent him a
he's joining us?
text.
All right. Can I eat my yogurt while we're on the show or no?
That's up to you.
It's up to you. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. You're so predictable. Let's see. What do you got over there? You've got, where'd you get the Oak Park High School license plate? From 1984. Did you
State
have that?
champs.
Did you have that somewhere?
Yep, I've had those trophies that you see spread around. I got most improved. What was it? Hustler. I don't know. I had a bunch of weird trophies when I was
And
young.
so
Is that
you're-
from the Dave Bing summer camp?
Nice. Good
No,
one.
Greg Kelsler.
Here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to know. Is the size of the item in your background relative to the significance of the experience? For example, did Frostburg mean so little to you that it gets a little sign up there just
No,
above? Who's that?
Actually,
Magic?
Frostburg's probably one of the top 5 experiences in my
Well,
life.
shouldn't they get a bigger sign?
Yeah. Why are you leading with the Lions banner? I mean, that's just bad karma.
I mean, I love
Yeah,
the Lions probably as
can we
much
get
as any of
Golden
my
Tate on
teams,
the
even though
show?
they're Golden
Can we
Tate.
get Golden Tate on the show?
Not even a Lion anymore. He's been on 3 different teams.
Is
since he was
Dexter
a Lion.
Bussey available?
Good one.
God,
Billy Sims?
Billy Sims.
Didn't Barry Sanders play for the Lions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you really just ask that question?
Uh-huh.
Eric Hipple,
Nice.
God.
Good one.
Greg Landry, Eric
Well,
Kramer.
That's impressive, actually.
It is.
For
Yeah.
being a
Are those all
Washington
quarterbacks?
football team fan. Yes,
Are
they're
those all
all.
quarterbacks? What would be really impressive is if he walked.
What?
Now what's going on? Oh, he's getting in trouble.
Uh-oh. John got a
I
haircut.
got over. Our guys got over. Yes, I did.
Stacy.
Stacy.
So
John has emotionally exited stage right.
Oh man, I got to tell you guys, we don't have Seth yet, right?
Not yet.
Are we recording? Oh, I can't tell you
Yeah.
this on recording. I'll tell you after.
Too
But I
bad.
want to tell you before John leaves. So John, if you have to go do the dishes, let us know. Did you listen to the Cadillac interview?
I did. I liked it.
The whole thing?
I listened to about 45 minutes of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I
John?
mean, he's you can tell he's going to get better, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. I thought it
Yeah.
was a good idea. I like the name. It's catchy.
I told him I like the name, yeah. And I think his interest in doing something that isn't X's and O's is a good idea. And, all we need is everybody to be bored enough to get out of X's and O's and go do something else. There was a guy on KUOW, the local NPR station today. I don't remember the reporter's name, but he was talking about the Big Ten and Pac-12 and football and testing and start dates. And I guess those two leagues are in very different places in terms of how they're enabling safety protocols. It was pretty interesting. I had to stop at Ivar's and get some fish and chips, but it was pretty interesting what he's talking about.
You want to
the
elaborate?
biggest problem the Pac-12 is having is the state of California won't let them.
Yeah.
play.
He said they're all those schools are binding together. They're all basically saying if one doesn't practice, the rest aren't going to practice in order to maintain competitive equity. But he also said that they're actually ahead decision-wise in terms of their protocols and testing than the Big Ten. Is it still called the
No,
Big
that's
Ten?
because the presidents got together and they got the 5-minute $5 lick test, the saliva
I see.
test.
Yeah.
And they got ahead of virtually everybody on that because the presidents there had inner workings with the pharmaceuticals.
Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen these little cameras?
No.
They're made by Wyze, WYZE, and they have a little extended base here, and it's magnetized. You can hang it upside down, and it's basically internet.
Whoa.
So you can tether it to the app in your phone, put it like inside your house. In your case, John, you could put it inside one of your teddy bears and have the camera point out through the belly button, and then you could see everything that's going on in your space.
That's,
$25.
Wow.
$25, and I've got 5 or 6 of them all over campus. Let's see.
do people know they're in place?
Oh yeah, and then I turn the sound off, and so my interface comes up like this. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
But
that's cool.
It's got the individual cameras, and then like if I want to look out, there's one of the I don't know how to get that to there pickup spot, and if you so there's the drop off, pre-K drop off, and anyway, you can take photos. We had a guy on campus harassing our maintenance guy last week, and our head of school came to me and said, "Can you get any still pictures from those cameras?" And I found 3 different angles of the guy from 3 different cameras, obviously, and screenshotted those and sent them off. And I assume they went into a police report.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's low budget stuff. It's not like, most campuses have a. And did you guys hear that Bill Gates' father passed away today?
Oh, no. Did he really?
Yeah,
How
88
old?
years old.
Wow.
88. It's listed as Alzheimer's. His passing was from Alzheimer's, but pretty significant loss for certainly the
Absolutely.
left.
Absolutely.
A big advocate for wage equality, strangely enough. wage equality and human rights. And I didn't know he was 6'7".
Seth is here.
Oh, great.
You ready?
Sure.
All right. 6'7"? Wow.
Yeah. See if Seth will recruit him.
You're kidding.
All right, here we go.
Seth, how are you?
Doing all right. Sorry about that, guys. I'm speaking to the Missouri Coaches Association today, and I was sitting there working on some notes and lost track of time.
No, you're good. No
problem.
No problem at all. So we know your time's valuable, so we'll start the intro and we'll get right after. Is there anything that's off limits? Anything you don't want to talk about? We can
Let's
always
go.
post
do
edit.
it. I can
All
always, believe me, if you ask me a question I don't want to answer,
That's right.
honestly, I'll just say what I want to say.
All right, perfect.
I did that for a long time as a coach in post-game press conferences.
Sounds awesome. All right. We are so honored and excited to welcome ESPN's College Game Day and college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg to the Sports Deli. He walks 10 miles a day. He adores his dog, Jake. He's a girl dad to 3 incredible daughters, and he's about to be a grandfather. And despite how he comes across on ESPN, an inside source told me that he's a real big teddy bear. And who ESPN's college basketball analyst, Jay Billis, said right here on the Sports Deli that although he would play college football for Alabama's Nick Saban, he would absolutely not play college football for Seth Greenberg. He once banned his players from using the word chillin'. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Seth on Hoops. Seth, Lashana Tova, happy Rosh Hashanah, good Yontif. Thank you so much for being here today in the Sports Deli.
Thanks for having me, guys. You guys doing all right?
Yeah.
We are. Thank you, Coach.
Guys being
Thank
safe?
you, Coach. We are.
Relatively.
Thanks,
That's a better background than I have. What's up with that?
We were
Well-
just kidding with him, Coach, that at the end of the season here, we're going to have a garage sale for him to get rid of that stuff.
That's big time
Seth,
right there. I mean, I can't get something that fancy in my office. I just got a bunch of, junk behind me.
Well-
We don't believe it.
Well, listen, is it true that you had your first beer in over a decade recently on an Instagram live broadcast?
I did. I don't drink beer. I drink Tito's, but I don't drink beer. Never had a beer in my life. I've tried it. I just didn't develop a taste for it.
That's
it's
amazing.
just one of those things that, to me, it's real simple. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you got a dish you really like, why would you order anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to like that. So why wouldn't you go and order what you enjoy? So like if I was going to have something to drink, why would I go and turn around and drink a beer when I could have a Tito's and tonic with a wedge of orange and be perfectly happy?
Well, that's really going to be helpful for the this or that segment at the end of the podcast.
I'm happy I could help
That
you.
was a great lead in. So Seth, we're living in unprecedented times, obviously. Was it difficult to stay in your normal routine and maintain a sense of normalcy through all of this?
Yeah, look, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You're not going to have your normal routine. It just doesn't exist. If you want to make good decisions, if you care about other people, if you have the discipline and the respect of others, then you know what? You're going to have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And, that's just the way it is. So, my normal routine when things broke out with the virus was to be getting ready to go to the ACC tournament and then to, 2 weekends in a row in Bristol, watching all the games and doing all the shows and then going to the Final Four and then having a wedding for my daughter. I mean, in May, that would have been a normalcy, but now it's walking, 10 to 14 miles a day. And it's doing all the other stuff that I normally would do, quite honestly. I mean, I've got my book that I'm working on for our notes for the season and played more golf this summer than I've ever played and haven't been in a golf cart all year. I've walked every single day. In fact, it's kind of a running joke with the guys I play with because we'll play 27 holes in certain events and I'll walk all 27 and I'm the oldest dude there. And they'll be going like, I can't believe you're walking. I said, like you young guys, I can't believe you're not walking.
What's your handicap?
To me, it's important not to put my family at risk. And
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's hard, but I mean, let's face it, it's not difficult or hard on me in relation to really what some other people are going through. I'm very, very fortunate and blessed. And, my problems aren't real problems. They might be inconveniences, but they're not problems.
Yeah, definitely. What's your handicap?
It's 10, 9, 10, depending on the day.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. Right.
So you
They
bring
don't have
over
shadow anymore, but besides that, I'm all right.
so you bring over 35 years of college coaching experience to ESPN. What's been the biggest difference as you prepare for this season, which will be starting around Thanksgiving from what we hear, and have a different look in terms of these mini bubbles everyone's trying to create similar to the WNBA and the NBA versus how you've prepared in previous years?
Well, first of all, I mean, everyone uses the term bubble, and really, the bubble, NBA bubble is a totally different animal. I mean, I called it TBT. TBT started the first bubble. It was in Columbus. The hotel was right connected to the facility. To me, I call them, they're isolations. They're isolation pods because, I mean, there's three things that we've got to do in college basketball, and it's real simple. And I think Dan Gavitt's really doing a great job, and they're probably making an announcement right now, actually, on when we're going to start the season. But you got to have versatility and have a plan and multiple plans because things are going to happen. That's just the way it is. Things are going to happen. You got to have patience because this thing changes every single day, and we need to have patience with the situation. And finally, we need to have a protocol. So we have patience. We have a plan or multiple plans depending on what happens with the virus, and we have protocol. Then we're going to be able to move forward. So my preparation hasn't changed. What I do is I get on Synergy. I watch teams. I read about different teams. I have a book right here that basically I break down every single league. Am I on video here with you guys?
No,
Oh, we're not. You guys are on video, but I'm not on video.
correct.
So there's no sense of me showing you my book. So I work on my book. I break down the leagues. I break down the best backcourts, the best front courts, the best guards, the best transfers, the best. So my preparation really hasn't changed at all. I'm a big preparation guy. I approach this job no different than I approach coaching. I don't take my job for granted. A lot of guys go from coaching into the media, and they take it for granted. I think this is a privilege. I work with incredible, incredible people, including Billis, but I'd never say it to his face. To me, the most important thing you can do is be prepared and have no agenda. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have. Some of what I call the gurus, they have agendas. I don't think it's our place to have an agenda. I think my job is the game or games will tell a story. And the things that happen throughout the year in the sport will tell a story, and we should react to that. But we should never have an agenda on a preconceived agenda on how something would play out.
Coach, if you're not watching Synergy in your jammies right now, we'd love to have you turn your video on.
Well, yeah, I could do that. I just, here, just start video. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering why I wasn't
so much,
up.
That's
I mean,
so much better.
I apologize.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize, Coach. Let me go back a little bit, if I may. You talked about uncomfortableness, which I think is a great word for coaches to know and understand, and that would be something you, as a basketball coach, would put upon your players. True, you would try to make them uncomfortable. Do you feel like the involvement in athletics for you gives you, I don't want to call it an advantage, but do you feel better prepared to deal with uncertainty than say somebody who works in the stock market, which is also an uncertain kind of business?
I think the people who work in the stock market, I think changes from minute to minute, it seems to me. But, here's the thing. I think a big part of coaching is you've got to have agility. Like, you got to have a plan. All right, but you also have to have agility because during the course of a game, things happen. Guys get in foul trouble. Teams, change their defenses. I'm a big believer in agility and preparing for agility. In other words, and then getting the other team to react to you. I think a big part of coaching is, which team can impose their will and their system on the other. Which team can get the other team to react to you. Like, I have a philosophy on the art of the upset. We've been fortunate to be 4 number 1 teams, and the first thing is you can't let the other team's best player beat you. Obviously, the Clippers didn't figure that out the other day because they let the other team's best player beat them. You've got to own the tempo of the game and the rhythm of the game, which is really, really important. You've got to take care of the basketball, and that's controlling your controllables, basically. Got to take care of the basketball. You got to cut people out off the glass. If you can do those 2 things, then all of a sudden, someone's got to step up and make a play. But to me, having versatility in life and understanding that it's not what happens, it's how you respond to what happens is the most important thing. I have a saying, adversity visits the strong and lives with the weak. You're going to face adversity. I've been fired twice. I was fired once when I was single by myself. I was fired once. I was at Virginia Tech. I had 3 daughters. One daughter was going to be a senior at Virginia Tech. Another one was in New York. Another was going to be a senior in high school. You need to have agility, to be up to pick up. And we had to pick up and move. And, my youngest daughter had to go to high school her senior year, changed a whole list of schools that were recruiting her in volleyball. Ended up at Villanova, which was a great experience. Jay Wright's a dear friend, and I just graduated law school and was going to work in Charlotte for a great law firm. I passed the bar, and that's, I'm so, like I wrote her a note. I mean, her discipline and perseverance of having to do what she had to do and her agility to deal with it, to me was almost overwhelming. So I don't say, well, I'm a coach, I understand, agility and versatility. I just think that I've been blessed. I've been very, very fortunate. And so I've gotten more resources to be able to deal with some of the things. When I was, 24 years old, got fired at Pitt, it was just me. I can't even imagine, where I was financially there and where I am now, getting let go with 3 daughters and no job and, maybe, no opportunity. So, coaching teaches you to be good on your feet. There's no doubt about it. But, I think that just the way you're raised and, I saw my father lose his business and I said that was never going to happen to me. And I have a kind of a grit about me. My wife says I'm doom and gloom. I just, I never want to be in that situation. So I'm going to fight through everything. And that's just the way I am.
Coach, are there coaches that stand out in your mind in terms of that kind of agility that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think John Calipari is one of the best ones at it because he doesn't even figure his team out until January. I mean, what he does is he wants them to fail fast, take time to learn his team, find out what they do well, and then have the agility to put them in position to play to their strengths. Tom Izzo is incredible. He's one of my closest friends. I mean, he's not afraid to coach his guys hard, but yet he has the agility to change. He's extremely passionate, but he also has great, incredible compassion that people just don't even understand or really have any understanding of what he's all about when it comes to that. I think there are a lot. I think coaches in general, one of my pet peeves about the perception of coaches and coaches is the public somehow, some way has got coaches that don't care about their players. Coaches don't care about academics. Coaches just want to win games. And quite honestly, that's so far from the truth. I mean, coaches care tremendously about their players and their well-being and their life after basketball. And they're, the biggest, basically, altercations you have with your players most times is because they're not fulfilling their academics and they're not pursuing doing the right things and making good decisions. And, let's face it, a bad decision today is part of your resume. A bad decision today is on social media. A bad decision today, can impact you the rest of your life. When I was growing up, I'm 64 years old. When I was growing up, a bad decision didn't impact me. All right,
well, nobody knew.
Impact you because no one knew. Exactly. So, it's just, the world is changing. Let's face it.
Can we transition a little bit into some of your broadcasting stuff? I'm really curious, having done a little bit of college radio, I'm curious about the nature of preparation that you go through pre-broadcast, how that's arranged. How do you keep an organic nature to the exchanges where maybe you've shared information before you've gone on camera?
Yeah, I mean, like my preparation for TV is no different than anything else. First of all, I speak to 10, 12 coaches a day. I mean, these guys are my peers. I'm not a guru. They don't look at me as a member of the media. I'm just, I mentor a lot of coaches. I go around all over the country and speak to teams and talk to them about decision-making. I go evaluate practices. I get asked to do those things. So like when I pick up the phone and call a coach, they're not looking at me like, I'm, some journalist or because I wouldn't even want to insult a journalist by, you can tell by my grammar and everything else. I'm no journalist. I'm just a basketball coach who talks ball, and coaches talk to us differently. That's just the way it is. I mean, Dan Dockich and I have a podcast and we get guys to talk, but our conversations aren't, aren't typical interviews. Coaches talk to us differently because we walked in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my preparation is speaking to coaches. My preparation is watching film. My preparation is taking notes on every game that day and relating that to those teams in their league, those teams nationally, the best players, the best matchups, the trends. If I'm doing an actual game, I do a full scouting report on each team. A full scouting report. I do, write down the keys and matchups, and then I try to see, in speaking to the coaches, if they see the prism of the game and the shape it's going to take in a similar way that I see it. When I'm doing studio, I've got to know about 150, 200 teams. So you're studying every single day. I do some analytics. I'm not a crazy analytics guy. I think, to me, my eyes are my analytics. What are you going to give and what are you going to take away? That's what it comes down to every single game. Teams, who are you and how do you win? That's how I define a team. Who's a player and what makes him different or unique? And then what are you going to give and what are you going to take away? Because every game I went through, the first thing I would ask my assistants when we were going through a scouting report, who are they and how do they win? Each player, what's the essence of that player? And then what are we going to give and what are we going to take away? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Coach, you were talking about knowing 150 teams, and obviously with this year, with COVID-19, the preseason, the early season, it's not there for the teams that may be bringing in a lot of freshmen. What teams do you see coming back with upperclassmen that may be under the radar, that because they have the continuity, they can go right away and jump in and take advantage of that maybe?
Well, Iowa, Wisconsin, and the Big Ten are going to be really good. I mean, Iowa's got Luka back, and they've got Bohannon, who's back from injury, and they basically have all 5 starters returning. I mean, they're going to be very good. Richmond in the Atlantic 10's got 5 starters returning. The Golden kid is really good. The Francis kid is really good. They're going to be ahead of the curve. Even though Gonzaga lost guys, the Timmy kid's going to have a breakout year this year. Kespert is really a good player. We declined that. I don't know who that person is. Kespert is a really, really good player and going to be unique. They got a very good freshman coming in at the guard position. There are teams that have substance. NC State I'm worried about their backcourt. I'm not sure how good they're going to be. Virginia gets Hauser, Joey Hauser, which you put Hauser and you put Kihei Clark and you put Huff, and maybe Morcell takes a step forward. They're going to lose some front court guys, but I think they're going to be, tough to compete in. Now, Villanova is going to be very, very good. Robinson Earl is back, and the Samuels kid is back, and he's maybe one of the most improved players in the country. They got Gillespie back. So, there are good teams that have really good players returning. That it's going to be very interesting to see The big question is who's going to emerge. How good is Kentucky going to be? Duke is going to be very young. Kansas has a chance to be really good. They got Abaji back. I think David McCormick's going to have a good year for them. The point guard position's a little bit of an if. The Brown kid is a big-time shot maker. Marcus Garrett, to me, is really, really good. Most underrated player in college basketball, maybe. Baylor is going to be good in the Big 12. They got incredible Maceo Teague and Butler. I mean, their backcourt is going to be just dynamite. Vidal's one of the best defenders in the country as a front court player. So we're in for an exciting year of college basketball.
Will we get any insights, Coach? Sorry, will we get any insight, do you think, from who does excel in terms of skilled teaching? Will we see who are the better teachers? I mean, obviously some are better than others. Will we see that?
What do you mean, in terms of coaches?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a team, let's say you have a team of younger players who maybe haven't acclimated to your offense. Now maybe your teaching structure is a little different in your preseason.
Let me tell you something. Those guys that are coaching those teams, most of them are so good. They're so good. I mean, Rick Barnes, great coach. Cal, great coach. Here's the thing. The teaching is not the part. Like, if you have a young team, the biggest thing is basically getting them to understand how hard you got to play. Like the biggest jump when you go from high school to college, high school kids watch college games and they think it's easy. Then they get to college, all right, and it's almost overwhelming. You almost have to unplug them, plug them back in, and reboot them. You have to redefine playing hard to them. But when I look around the country, I mean, there are very few bad coaches. Guys, they're really, I mean, they're really good. Now you've got to get a chemistry, you've got to get a trust, you've got to have team leadership, you've got to have someone coaching your locker room. Those things are the things when you have young new teams. Like, a perfect example, and use the Clippers again. They have no one coaching the locker room, obviously. Like, you look at Kawhi Leonard. I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, but he missed Kyle Lowry. He missed the culture of the Spurs. All right, that's just the way it is. So, who's coaching your locker room is a huge thing, and your identity is easy to create or find. Culture is hard. That takes time, and I think that's what happens.
Coach, just to follow up on that, we know the Coach K's and the Calipari's. Who do you see as some coaches on the rise that may be under the radar that people don't know of that we're going to see and hear more about in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's interesting. I think Kevin Keatts at NC State does a terrific, terrific job. I think he's just a really, really – he has a great way about him. And I'm not saying like Mick Cronin, he's going to do a fabulous job at UCLA. I mean, just to see what his team emerge. Not that people didn't know who Mick Cronin was. I'm a big Mike White fan. I know people are down on Mike White at Florida, but I'm a big Mike White fan. I think that Mike White is a great communicator. I think they struggled last year because it was the first time he had to deal with having these McDonald's All-Americans. Having all those McDonald's All-Americans is a unique thing. Kermit Davis is a terrific coach, really, really good basketball coach at Ole Miss, and a creative basketball coach. A guy that really does, I think he's an excellent teacher. Anthony Gray, you saw what he did last year. I mean, I thought he was a great coach at VCU. I think Alabama was just a tough fit for him. So I mean, it's hard to evaluate, him off his Alabama years. We've got good young coaches coming up. I mean, it'll be interesting, but you're only as good as your staff. You're only as good as your infrastructure. I always say that the institution's investments got to equal their expectation. You've got to have the resources. Like when I went to Virginia Tech at first, our expectation, our investment in our program wasn't of a Big East or an ACC. And we had to get that up. And your facilities and all those other things that surround that have to be at that higher level. I mean, so that you can compete at a higher level. So, I mean, to me, there are some talented young coaches, and guys will emerge. The guy at Todd Kowalczyk at Toledo does a fabulous job. Really, really, really good coach. Brian Odom, my former assistant at UMBC.
UMBC, yeah.
He's done a really nice job.
We actually competed against him when he was at Hampden Sydney.
Yeah, right.
Years and years ago. Yeah.
They play freed up basketball. So there's a lot of good, talented young coaches out there.
Thanks.
Seth, I want to make sure I frame this properly because when I spoke to you briefly the other day, when we were setting this up, you talked about, you're a humanitarian, you believe in equality for everybody. And in terms of, you talked about these coaches, how are they going to handle recruiting when these kids and these families come onto campus? Is there going to be a different conversation with these families in terms of, what their expectations are and what are the coaches going to say now?
Well, every family's expectations are the same. My son's going to start. He's going to take all the shots. And he's
right. That's right.
Coach. Yeah, expectations don't change. I mean, look, here's the thing. I mean, you are who you are. You're going to show compassion. You're going to, I don't think you have to address that if you're real.
Right.
And be yourself.
That's true. Yep.
Be yourself. I mean, if you get a kid on campus, he's going to see that family's going to see how you interact with your players. They're going to talk to your players. They're going to find out, what's important to you. I mean, everyone's doing the right things. Everyone's, doing things with their teams to talk about, social justice. Everyone's doing their things to educate their players, and there are going to be programs on all campuses. And look, coaches care. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, coaches have compassion. Coaches have humanity. I mean, coaches are, I say, our world in general, if we could just have a greater sense of humanity, have a greater sense of compassion, care for each other, and if everyone tried to do something for someone else every day, if every player in your team picked up the phone and called someone who had an impact on their life every day, then all of a sudden, we're not going to fix this thing overnight. We got to put good days on top of each other. And that's going to be the message that most coaches are going to have with their teams. And most institutions are going to have it. And, there's going to be education. It's going to be a lot more of an open forum. But here's the deal. You still got to coach your team. Like, you can't be afraid to coach your team. I see too many guys that and before even this happened, they're afraid to coach your team. I mean, if you don't coach your team, you coach your players, that's an injustice to them. You're not being fair to them because you're not helping them get somewhere they can't get themselves. But in terms of the social issues, be yourself and be real. Because what I found is that 99% of the coaches I've been around, they've cared about those things for long before this has become a
absolutely
front and center issue. And then the other thing is, we've got to call out all hate. We've got to stop stereotyping. I think our society, we want to stereotype everything, whether it's racially, whether it's religiously, whether it's professionally. There's good and bad in every walk of life. There's good and bad in every race and religion and profession. And you know what? We've got to weed out the bad ones and hold people accountable. All right, but we cannot stereotype everyone. I've got former players they're police officers. I can tell you one thing: they're in law enforcement. They are great police officers, and they just want to come home every day and be alive, hug their kids. And, but they're bad at police officers, and those guys got to be held accountable. All right. But, what happened the other day in Compton in LA is disgusting. And it's something that shouldn't be celebrated. And those people need to be held accountable. And when people say anti-Semitic things and bring Hitler into the conversation, and Hitler was right, those people need to be held accountable. We all need to be held accountable. And that's the problem, is that we've got to, as a humanity, as a society, we've all got to be better. We've all got to be better. And we've got to face all these issues head on. But we can't ignore hate, because hate comes in every race and religion. I faced anti-Semitism when I coached. I faced anti-Semitism when I was in New Mexico State. Someone "We're going to kick your ass, you Jew bastard." I mean, I had a choice to make. Do I ignore it, or do I bring it out in front? I brought it out in front. I mean, hey, walking on off the court, coaching in the ACC, you don't think I heard things that you wouldn't want to hear? Sure you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but we've got to face all the hate.
Coach,
Because
I looked at your Twitter feed last night, some late prep. And obviously, anytime you have a social media presence like yours with lots of followers and people tune in frequently to interact, not all of the feedback is positive. Not all of the feedback is agreeable. How do you deal with that? Do you get dissuaded by that? Do you get drawn in? Do you ignore it? What's your MO there?
Depends of the day. I mean, like, sometimes I would say just have a good life. My wife doesn't like when I do that. Sometimes I just delete you and block you. Sometimes if I'm in a snarky mood, but look, here's the deal. I mean, those are a bunch of anonymous people. I mean, I'm on Twitter. It's something we're supposed to, they like us to do.
Yeah.
I don't care if you follow me, you don't follow me. I really don't care. I mean, I'm going to talk ball. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to have an agenda. I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not a politician. I talk ball. But if people are going to be really rude, I'll stand up for what's right at times. But I'm not going to use my platform for that, because I think those things are all private. People take shots at you. I mean, it's, I mean, I saw yesterday some guy, because I did talk about the NBA, and I love the one thing. Oh, your coach K kicked your ass. Well, actually, he didn't. If you think about Duke, and when we went into the ACC, people said we had no chance. And in our first year, they beat us by 100 the first game, and then we beat them when they were number one the second game. I wouldn't say that. He beat us a lot. He beat everyone a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty good
I mean,
at what he does.
Look at the dudes he had. If I played K, I'd kick his ass. But you know what? His teams beat me. And that's, you don't like Duke. No, I actually, Mike and I have a great relationship. Mike played at Army for my college coach, Alabama. I've got a great relationship with Mike. But if something's wrong, if Grayson Allen's tripping guys, you know what? That's not right. What am I going to ignore it? No, he needs to be held accountable. Like if that was a guy from, Oregon State who had that incident with the official. So,
Coach, do you feel like you have
that's just ignorant? You're a Duke-hater, or stuff about Curry. I mean, like, people have no understanding of the real deal in the Curry recruitment. So, you just ignore that stuff.
Coach, do you feel like the McCour-Maker deciding that I don't know if he'll wind up at Howard or not. I know Kenny Blakeney from back in the day.
Kenny's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy, and I'm really happy for him. Does that make a dent in recruiting moving forward? I know it's a great thing in isolation. Any feelings about that?
I don't think it will. I think maybe for a certain kid. I mean, but no, I don't think that's going to change because Howard's not going to play Kentucky on national television for a national championship.
Right.
And, look, I mean, he's a bright kid. He's going to get a good education. Kenny's going to do a great job with him. And, it might impact some, but no, it's not going to change the way. I mean, look at right now, the kids that are committed for 21. You don't see that becoming an epidemic. I think there'll be kids that will try to be trailblazers, and that's great. I think, look, everyone does what's in their best interest. That's just the way it is. I'll tell you one thing. The way Murray and Bam and Hero and those dudes are playing, wow. That's the best recruiting that's ever happened. For John Calipari had a good night last night recruiting.
Yes, he did. What a block.
Coach, you're an alum of Fairleigh Dickinson University, and I'm
over on the Hackensack. Yes, sir.
Big fan of. There we go. Big
John
fan
used
of Greg.
To work there.
Yeah, big fan of Greg Horrendous. But what is the state of low D1 basketball programs after no NCAA tournament last year, lack of funding coming into the conferences like the NEC, and then this year, if the schedule's adjusted, I think it was November 21st, they're planning to announce they're going out, and those are big pay games for those type of programs.
I talked to Brad Holbrook today. I talked to their athletic director today.
Yeah, and those are big paydays when they play a St. John's, when they play a Seton Hall, when they play in Alabama. Those are what make their budgets and allow them to even have an assistant coach, be able to travel, and they fund other things. With that potentially being stripped down this year because of the scheduling and maybe just going to conference scheduling, talk about the impact that's going to have on the MACs and the NECs and those type of lower level conferences.
It's brutal. I mean, look, there's no way around it. It's going to be brutal. And think about that on top of the expenses for testing. Because if you want to play some of those games, you're going to still get guarantees. They won't be the same because there aren't going to be people in the stands.
Yeah, it's true.
Money that's going to be, you might, an $80,000 guarantee might end up being a $20,000 guarantee.
Right.
Here's the problem is you play Virginia, like they're playing Virginia. Harvard on the Hackensack supposed to play Virginia. I don't know what the guarantee is. They're going to bust down there now for safety reasons. But to play Virginia, you're going to have a certain protocol. And that protocol is going to be probably 3 tests a week. Like Brad said, well, I can do that for 1 week. I can't do that every week. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have a test 72 hours prior to the competition. And once you arrive on property, I would think. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be really hard for those programs. There's no doubt about it. Like those programs don't print money. It's going to be hard, but Stanford's dropping sports.
11 sports.
Stanford's dropping sports, there's an issue.
Right.
Because they've got a lot of money. So, it's you could see this be the start of the separation. Because and then the NCAA tournament's not going to change. Everyone's going to have a chance to play in it. You're just going to have to decide how you're going to conduct your business. But you know what? When people tell me that, we got to have a level playing field. Look, Kentucky conducts their business differently than 3/4 of the team, maybe even in the SEC. When I was at Virginia Tech, we didn't conduct our business like a Duke did. So, there's no such thing as legislating a level playing field, but those small and mid-major schools are going to be struggle.
Do you see it moving like football did, where basically the 1AA in the
It could. I could see that. Well, and let's face it, depending on what happens with NIL, I think you're going to see the Power Fives, the American, the Big East, and then specific schools just saying, all right, we're going to conduct our business this way, whether you guys like it, this is how we're going to conduct our business, and we're going to in essence break away. So college basketball start November 25th.
25th. Okay.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Coach, do
game.
you miss the college ball? I mean, I watched some of your tweets on the pro game. I don't know your exact basketball philosophy. The one that stood out to me was one where you were talking about cutting with a purpose, basically.
Yeah.
Don't just cut to cut. And so in my mind, I like to imagine you as an old school guy who kind of believes in fundamentals, and maybe that's accurate, maybe it's not. But how do you feel about the pro game? Do you miss the college game? How do you plug yourself in if you feel like you're a fundamentals guy into a league that really?
Well, I look, the good coaches in the NBA are really good. I was shocked at the end of the Celtic game the other day. I mean, that they just went to isolation basketball after they were actually running good offense. It's a totally different game. The clock's different. The players are different. It's become strictly a ball stream, playing out of concepts game. I love the Heat. I love the way they play. There are teams that I enjoy watching play. I mean, the players are absolutely phenomenal. we were going to check your ass. We were going to be physical. We were going to be tough. Like my favorite saying, I'm going to use it in my clinic in a little while, is people say, got to get back to the fundamentals. And I would say, you're right. Why would you ever leave the fundamentals? You're only as good as your ability to pass, catch, cut, sit in a stance, defend, communicate, compete. But there's some great coaching. I did a sports center yesterday on those games, and it's real simple. The players are so good, you've got to change coverages defensively. Where the adjustments in the NBA is coverages that change, and then your reaction to the changing of coverages. But there are certain teams I like better. I didn't enjoy watching Mike D'Antoni's a dear friend. I don't enjoy watching his team play, but Mike's a dear friend. I think he's a brilliant coach, and he's innovative. I look at other teams. I never figured out what the Bucks were doing offensively. They tried to get the ball to Giannis at the elbow, or he would initiate a break. Imagine if he was just ran the floor and you advanced pass to him, so he's playing ahead of the defense and attacking. Now that would be fun to watch. Why he's bringing the ball at the floor, I would never figure it out. Get him the ball on a reversal and let him attack a closeout. So I enjoy the NBA game. I enjoy basketball. My dad played for Claire B at LIU way back in the day.
Wow.
I've been around it since I've been a kid. I'm living a dream, and I've been very fortunate to do it. So I just love the game. I'm addicted to the game.
Well, it shows.
You have some favorite classic books. You mentioned Claire B. You have some favorites back there that you think are.
Well, I actually have one of Coach B's book right here that he used to visit his former players every year, and he would bring us his books. And so when I was a little kid, I got the
That's a great one.
Zone defense and attack, and that's one of my mementos.
That's actually really hard to find, Coach.
Yeah, it is. Downstairs, I got my dad's jersey from Thomas Jefferson High School in New York, and it's like wool. And I've actually got pictures of him playing. They're downstairs, actually.
And I see up on the shelf you got a couple of little pieces of floor from the Final Four. I'm not sure why you were complaining about your background.
No, the two behind me back here are pretty good. The Coach of the Year trophies for the ACC.
You got plenty. You got plenty of milestones, Coach.
But I've got I read a lot of motivational stuff. I still do. I mean, like I'm a big John Gordon fan, and I read a lot of that stuff. Actually, my computer's propped up on a couple of books I'm messing around with right now. So, to me, it's just it's real simple. You just try to get better every day.
You want to plug the upcoming clinic?
Yeah, it's going to start in about 15 minutes. The Missouri Coaches Association. A couple of years back, I flew out there and did a clinic for them. They asked me to do something for them. Tomorrow, we have our podcast up today. We had Tom Izzo on courtside with Greenberg and Dockich. We had Izzo today. Tomorrow, we're going to have Andy Katz talking about the start of the season, because he's going to speak to Dan Gavitt. I got a web show tomorrow with Kevin Keats and Andy, also talking about moving forward with the college basketball season. So we're staying busy and looking forward to the season now.
I worked
right.
camp with Dockich back in the day. I hope his language is cleaned up a little bit.
Best, man. He's the best. He's
All right,
crazy.
real quick, Coach. We got a this or that segment of the podcast. It's a little lighter than some of the other topics.
All right, we got to knock it out pretty quick.
Yeah, let's knock it out. Okay, the Beatles, Elvis.
So, man, I couldn't hear you.
The Beatles or Elvis?
Oh, wow. Springsteen.
There we go. Bagels or challah?
Bagels. I'm a big bagel guy. Actually, it's one of my downfalls, although I'm trimmed down because I'm walking so much now.
That's amazing. West Side Story or Miracle on 34th Street?
West Side Story. When you're a jet all the way.
Jay Billis as an alien in the movie I Come in Peace or Will Smith in Men in Black?
Oh, Bellis for sure. I use that picture all the time to torture him.
That's great. Yankees or the Nets?
Yankees. Although Jay Horwitz was my SID at Fairleigh Dickinson.
Oh, wow.
And the Mets, David Wright's became a good friend when I got let go at Tech. He's from our area. Actually, I went to the Yankee Met game, and David had me as his guest, which was really, really nice.
Wow. Sandy Koufax.
But I'm a Yankee guy. Mr. Steinbrenner adopted me when I was in South Florida.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
Interesting. Sandy Koufax or Hank Greenberg?
That's a tough one right there. I'd say Hank Greenberg. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Van Dyke or
Sandy's
Lucy?
not pitching Friday. Next Friday.
Dick Van Dyke or Lucy?
You know what? I actually Dick Van Dyke. I like him. Too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Burgers or hot dogs?
Nathan's hot dogs, mustard, sauerkraut, toasted.
You
really
can
crispy.
take the boy out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the boy.
Crispy. Got to make that the crispy skin. You just can't beat it.
All right, 5 more real quick. Vanilla or chocolate?
Rocky Road.
There it is.
It's kind of my life.
Jay Williams or Jay Billis?
Oh man, that's a rough one. I'm going with LaFonso Ellis. He's my new road dog now.
Gel or hairspray?
How about a little bit larger washcloth?
All right, so now that you've gotten to know Gordon and I a little bit, we both teach yoga, among other things that we do. Would you take yoga with Gordon or me?
Oh man, that's a tough question. This body's not the most flexible. I do before I play golf. I do a little down dog, and I do a couple Supermans. But you guys look like you're physically fit, so I'd probably say you look more physically fit.
I don't know about that, Coach. I'd go with Mike if I were you.
Well, anything else that you haven't talked about on any of the other infinite number of podcasts or shows or anything you want to share with us or anyone else?
No, just that, I think the big thing is just in general in society, we got to try to be better. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And we got to try to do things for other people. And remember the people that helped you on your way up. I do this big thing. I say, if you can pick up the phone and call someone and impact someone's life, every single day, you've had a good day and they've had a great day.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of people this year, a lot of good coaches, and it's not been an easy year and on many levels. So we appreciate
and good people. Now, Lute Olson, I'll give you a quick Lute Olson story, and then I got to go. But I was saying, head coach at Long Beach State, I want to do an event for the Special Olympics. So I decided to call Lute because he's so beloved at Long Beach State. I thought I was getting an auction item out of him. He goes, "When's your event?" And I told him, he goes, "I'll come."
Wow.
And sure enough, he was there when I was setting up, and he was there when I was cleaning up. And that was a good lesson to learn. No matter how big you are, do something for someone else.
Well, we can't wait to see you in a couple months on ESPN doing the games and on game day. And we're so honored that you were with us today. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time, Coach.
Be safe.
Thank you, Coach.
Be safe. Put on your masks.
Yes.
Practice social distancing, and
Absolutely.
that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
All right. Good luck with the clinic, Coach. Thanks so
I
much.
appreciate it,
Take
guys.
care, Coach. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
That was fun.
Good stuff.
John,
Yeah.
great question.
Great
Oh,
question.
thank you. Which one?
Yeah.
How many did you ask?
Well, I mean, it was hard after you were to get in a word edgewise with
Here we
Gordon.
go.
He gets a
Here we
Hickory
go.
shirt and he thinks he dominates the show.
Listen. Show up on time for some shows. You'll get to
I
ask
was on
more
time.
questions.
You were the
This
one
time.
2 minutes before. Where's the link?
The question is, how long before Stacy interjects and says it's time for John to leave? John is not smiling. Gordon's spitting his yogurt out. John, if you can dish it, you got to be able to take it.
You know
Get out the kitchen, baby.
You know what I think about Seth? When I hear him talk about stuff, I feel like he's that person who's squeezing all the juice out of the rind of the orange. You know what I mean? Like he's getting the most he can get out of living, and he has an appreciation for all the great blessings in his life. It's
He failed early.
Yeah,
and he had a lot of success early too, but he was fired. He talked about it, and the state of the game, just the way things are now versus then. He's stayed relevant.
And
He's
what
fun,
else is
he's
interesting
funny.
about him? He
honest.
seems like he presents the same way on the podcast that he does on the air.
Definitely.
So he's himself.
Absolutely.
I gotta go.
With him? John, gotta
What?
leave.
I do.
John's gotta go.
Back to-
Thanks for
John,
joining the
put
podcast,
dishes
John.
away carefully.
This has been the Sports Deli with special guests
John
Dr.
Wexler.
J.
Nice.
Well,
I
we'd
think
love
we-
to have you
who-
back on again, John.
Do we have another podcast at 3 a.m? I mean, I didn't get the text. Later,
No,
guys.
we do have Sam Vincent on Sunday though, so we're looking forward
Sunday
to that.
or Friday?
Sunday.
Sunday, former Celtic, NBA champ with the 86 Celtics, and
John, will you be able to relinquish your tea time for that podcast?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, John.
Later.
Namaste.
Now must go.
Now must go. Oh man, did you see a story about Maya Moore and she married the person that she helped free from jail, who was wrongly convicted, and she met him when she was 18, and I guess they developed a relationship. I saw it on this morning's show with Robin Roberts, and what an amazing person. Even if she wasn't a WNBA player, to fight for 13 years to help somebody be freed from jail. Talk about systemic racism and
talk about patience.
Reform needed with regards to, the prison system. Just amazing, and he's equally as inspiring. Jonathan Irons.
I think you're the emotional intelligence of this show. I don't think there's any question about that. I'd like to think I'm not far behind, but I'm certainly not where you're at. I'm perplexed at how this country, is the country that has the most incarcerated people of any country on the planet. I mean, we're in the best position to not have that be the case, and we can't seem to get our act together.
Well, that's beyond my pay grade. I agree with you.
I know. I get it. It doesn't make any sense. I always think back to that HBO show with Jeff Daniels as the news anchor, where he goes on. They ask him, what makes us so great? And he says, we're not so great. We're number 17 in this. We're number 27th in this. The only thing we lead the world in is incarcerated people
and arrogance.
So but we have the capacity, I think, as a country, as a nation, to be better. And as a basketball coach, I'm always interacting with players and parents, and I just want our players to live up to their potential. You don't have to be Jordan or Curry or even your teammate. You just have to be as good as you can be. And that's what I want from my neighbors.
But when we're asking people to have depth, how do we go about that when everybody just wants snippets and tweets and they see something, part of a sentence, and then they go with it? And, to change things takes years.
Yeah. Well, it makes you ask some questions about the educational system in the country, doesn't it?
Well, among other things. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we are experiencing the karma of past poor decisions, right? I mean, when you cut education, you wind up with an uneducated populace. And I don't know that we're that far down the rabbit hole, but certainly not having civics classes hurts the political process in this country.
Absolutely.
Certainly having, social media as your prime way to interact with other human beings hurts, your adaptability and your ability to communicate and interface in real time. So, how are we going to navigate those things? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a good start. And I think white people, as we've said many times on the podcast, being at the forefront along with Blacks and African Americans who can, like LeBron, step up and be a voice that people will listen to. Because there's been people in the past that have tried, but it's not sustaining. It's sort of gotten swept under the rug, and we move on, so to speak. Oh, yeah, well
I know, I agree, but it certainly feels like we've got a lot more traction right now than we've ever had.
we do, and there's been a lot of policy changes already.
Yeah. Now, I was 2 during the civil rights movement, so I can't make a comparison, but and maybe it was like that then, but I feel like we've got some traction, and that that we're there's some sound footing to move forward, and I don't feel like this is just gonna disappear into the ether.
No, I don't either. But, people like us and Seth and John, we've been a part of something bigger than ourselves our whole lives. So that's all we know. Right. And other people, when they have that accumulation effect that I talked about in one of the pods, on the other end of the spectrum, whether it's blatant racism or microaggressions or not being anti-racist, not just saying I'm not racist, I think that it takes a lot of peeling back and unlearning and a willingness to even go there if we're going to change those people in the gray area. So it's going to take a lot of work. It's exhausting, on a different level.
Yeah, and I think it would be great for us. I mean, I know for me, one of the purposes of our podcast, and it's not, I don't know that it's listed in, in our bio on the various podcast sites, but for me, it's this idea of wanting to be part of the solution.
Right.
And so, I'd rather be taking some actions to do that, even though they may not be actions you take, or they may not be the actions John takes, but, together we can continue to, want to be part of making things better. And I think we'll get there.
And on that note, this is the Sports Deli. We were grateful and honored to have Seth Greenberg from ESPN join us. And until next time, we appreciate you listening to Dr. J, Coach K, and myself, Hootie Hoot, in the Sports Deli.